What's going on? Well, let's start. Okay, see. What's going on, everybody? Welcome out to PremWhite&Blue. This is Luke.
That's Zach.
And we're going to be running through our top Premier League wingers. We made a Premier League winger tier list. So we're going to be running through some names, throwing up on the tier list for you. We're doing a smash style. So we're going to do, we got S at the top, A, B, and C.
Yes.
Cool.
Beautiful.
And we got, we're going to be judging on a bunch of different stats, goals, assists, shots, key passes, dribble.
Also, to add to that, we're going to be doing a little bit of insight on the intangibles certain players have, because as you know, not everything in football can be measured by stats, and stats can look one way, but really, if you watch the game, it could mean another thing. For instance, someone's got a 90% pass completion ratio, but they're always passing sideways. You know, maybe not as good as it might look at first sight.
Yeah, it doesn't help. But, yeah, let's get this rolling. First up, we got Bernardo Silva. He had 6 goals and 7 assists this year. The last 2 years, he had 7 goals and 7 assists and 6 goals and 4 assists. And for 1.5 shots per game, 1.5 key passes per game, 1.2 dribbles per game.
Bernardo Silva not always playing as a winger and often playing in center mid as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're starting as a winger every game, you're going to be starting a lot closer to goal, so it's going to be easier for you to do things like score goals, create chances. You're going to be a lot more likely to take someone on. So, I mean, when you're looking at things like dribbles per game, it's going to be more conducive. I don't even know what the word for it would be. It would be a good idea to do your dribbles on the outside as opposed to in the middle of the park, because you turn the ball over, you could get hurt a lot easier further back and more towards the middle of the pitch.
And looking at these numbers, you know, I would think they don't scream out at me as baller. But Bernardo Silva is a baller, certified.
He's one of the guys that passes the eye test for sure.
Yeah. He went super far with Monaco before he moved to
They won the league. They beat PSG in the league, which is
testament.
Yeah, I mean that shouldn't happen.
But it did, y'all.
Yeah.
And then you know, with City, he's won 2 championships, two Prems.
Yeah, I think they ran it back to back, which is a huge feat in itself, regardless of how good that team is.
So he's got trophies. You know, that adds up. He won a Euros.
Yeah, he did.
So you know, I think he should be in the A tier.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard to make that argument with him and with those goals and assists, because you know people want to see the numbers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think you can really make the argument for him being in that S bracket. You know, he's not.
But no, because S has to be world class though.
I think
world class.
I think he is. I mean, like
world class. What, first sub off the bench?
It's
we're world class.
Talk about someone who can make something, and you can't talk about it as just one season. Like, what were his numbers at Monaco? I'm sure they were ridiculous. And when you're in a team like Manchester City, where every player on your team is great, it's hard to stand out. And he's not even starting, you know. And like,
so I don't think he could be S tier if he's not even starting consistently.
He would start at any other club.
He started at Liverpool.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't be a winger. I think he'd start in the midfield.
We're talking wingers. He's a winger.
I'm counting him as a player.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. No, I think in this he's a winger, and he is. I'm hard pressed to put him in the A. I think he should.
Okay,
be
that's absurd.
Okay,
but we'll agree to disagree on
well,
this.
we can look back at Bernardo Silva after we go through everybody.
Okay,
if you'd like to do that.
He is the weirdest one to me, in the fact of someone who is so good, but his numbers don't necessarily show that. But go ahead.
Next we got, all the way from Norwich, we got Buendia with 1, I hope I said his name right. You've got 1 goal, 7 assists, 1.1 shots per game, which is not that much, but 2.3 key passes per game, which is a lot, and then 2.8 dribbles. 8 goals and 12 assists in the championship last year with Norwich, and then the year before that he was at Getafe and only had 1 goal.
Okay.
So what do you see about him?
I've only seen him play once or twice, and when I saw him play, he looked very good.
Mm-hmm.
Something to be said about having 7 assists this season is playing in a Norwich team that I think scored 31 goals, was it? 32.
Yeah, not a lot.
They didn't score many goals, so you know if you're scoring 7 of the 30 goals. You know,
And were they assists to Pookie when he was scoring at the very beginning of the season?
I mean, I don't
I
know,
don't know.
but I'm saying when you've got 8 goal contributions of the 30 some odd goals your team scored, you're looking at a fifth of the production for that team.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then with the his key passes and his dribbles per game are just ridiculously high.
Yes.
So I mean, you take a player like him and you put him on a good team with good strikers, people who can score, and people to support him and allow him to get forward more. I mean, you could make a lot of things happen. That being said, I'm not going to argue that he's world class or anything like that, but he's someone that can really show his potential in the next few years. I'm sure he'll get bought. I'm sure he'll be back in the Premier League next season.
Yeah,
even with Norwich going down.
The point I was going to say is his ass just got relegated, so he can't be too high on the list.
That's a ridiculous.
He's not even in the Premier League anymore.
Coming from the guy who wants to sign Jack Grealish,
Jack Grealish is a baller.
His ass barely escaped relegation.
Yeah, but you know what? All on his back, he did. It might have been half on Buendia's back, and he couldn't do it.
Oh my god.
That's right, y'all. Why didn't I put Jack Grealish in this? Because he's half winger, half attacking.
When you love him, but you don't love Bernardo Silva, who's the same thing.
Jack Grealish is a baller, y'all. That's what we're going on. So Buendia, I got him in the bottom C.
I'm not gonna argue with that, but keep in mind that C in this is where the some odd 10 to 15 top wingers that we just thought of.
We could all remember
and tried to hit the big ones. So keep in mind, C on this tier list does not mean you're a C-rate player.
It does not mean you're coming off the bench for Norwich.
The worst player on this list is a good player.
Yes.
So, but I can agree with that. But obviously, there's going to be a large chance for him to really stake his claim on being, higher up on this list next season, and hopefully playing at a better club. I'd like to see him pretty much anywhere. I'd take him at Arsenal. I think he's very creative, great dribbler. He's got an eye for a pass. I'd love to see him anywhere.
What else do you need? Next up, we got Mahrez.
Riyad Mahrez. He's a baller.
He's a certified baller. He's got 11 goals and 9 assists, 2.2 shots per game, 2.2 key passes per game, 1.8 dribbles per game.
And he's a 60 million rated backup. Keep that in mind.
Yes. In the year before, he had 7 goals, 4 assists for City. But in the year before that, 17-18, he was at Leicester with 12 goals and 10 assists.
And that wasn't his player of the year season for Leicester either. Because the season before that, he went 17 and 12 or something.
So I think Mahrez is a hard A.
Yeah, he's a player who's got it all. He can go past his man. He can cross the ball. He can hit the pass. He can go one-on-one with a goalie.
He put through your legs, tricky.
He's tricky. Yeah, he's and I mean his stats do a good job of showing that. He can do it all. And then in that City side, you've got him on one side, kind of pulling the strings, and then on the other side, you've got Sterling, who we'll address later in the video, pulling up in the back post, scoring the goals.
What more do you need?
Yeah, I think he's
It's going to be a catchphrase. What more do you need?
What more do you need? I think he is a hard A, and another one of those guys that you could. I'm not saying world class, but he's high up in the A ranking for me.
Next up, we got Sadio Mane with 18 goals, 7 assists, 2.2 shots per game, 1.7 key passes per game, 2 dribbles per game. That gives him a score of 0.78. With last year, he had 22 goals and 1 assist. In the year before, he had 10 goals and 7 assists.
Mane.
S.
Yeah.
Do you say anything else?
I don't think anyone can really argue that. Great player.
Won a Champions League. Won the league this year.
Super important player to his side.
I remember when they were talking about Liverpool buying him from Southampton, and all the United fans were like, "Oh, Mane's not near good enough. Can't lace the boots of our players." And now he's ridiculously.
There were Arsenal fans saying the same thing, but you also have to keep in mind he has developed and gotten better as a player.
But there was always a player there, though. He always looked dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, who is to? It's kind of like the Salah thing, but we'll explain that when we get there. Yeah, go ahead.
Next up on this list, this might be a little little controversial between you and me. We got Pepe.
Yes. Nico.
Got 5 goals and 6 assists this season, 1.6 shots per game, 1.3 key passes per game, 2.3 dribbles per game. But last year he had 22 goals and 11 assists for Lille.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it? Or Lille?
It's Lille.
Lille.
I'm pretty sure.
And then, if it's not, let us know. And then it's 13 goals and 4 assists in 17-18 with Lille.
Okay.
So, I would say Pepe has not lived up to the hype this season, but that does not mean he can't live up to the hype next season. Some players, they take a little bit to get used to the Premier League. Sometimes it takes a whole season to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, some famous Arsenal examples of that are Dennis Bergkamp. I think took quite a few games before he scored a goal for Arsenal, maybe 10. Went on to be one of the best players ever played in the Premier League. Robert Pires, a winger, much like Pepe.
Yep.
Bad first season, second season. I'm pretty sure his second season was when he won the League Player of the Year. And I'm not saying Pepe's going to do that, but I think he's going to be back with a vengeance, and I think he's going to play a lot better. You could see when you watch him play, you can tell the talent's there. If you go watch if you had seen the FA Cup final that just recently happened, he had players on toast, just through their legs, back and forth, cutting inside. Scored a worldie of a goal, but Maitland-Niles' ass was offsides, so they called it back.
That's what you got when you got a big booty. It happens.
Yeah, but I mean, just calm, cool as a cucumber. Just never in doubt when you watch him. And
the 2 times United's played Arsenal, everybody acts like he's not going to be able to do anything, and he's a joke, and then he comes in and just runs over who's ever playing right back, or left back, whatever side he's on.
Yeah, I think a big issue with his numbers this year is, first of all, adapting to a new league. Mm-hmm. It's the toughest league in the world.
Yep.
On top of that, 3 different managers his first season, and in my opinion, he's been playing out of position for most of the season until recently. While he's obviously a right winger, he was playing out on the right wing, which is normally he's at Lille the whole time. He had free license to roam. He was that guy. He was cut inside, do it yourself, and we've kind of been shutting him out on the right wing, kind of like a chalk on your boots winger, and that's not really his style of play. Is to get back on that left foot. He's extremely one-footed. If I had to call one issue in his game, I had to call out, it would be that. But when you're good, you can get around that. Certain players, look at Arjen Robben, made a career of cutting it on his left foot and banging it. Mm-hmm. So I fully back Pepe to come good next season, but I can't argue with him, being at B on this tier list this season. Can't argue with it.
I mean, and that's room for improvement too,
Yeah, and and also when you have an £80 million price tag on your head, people expect a lot of you.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of I'm happy with you calling him B. I didn't want to have to argue him out of the C tier this season.
No, he's been pretty silky. But coming up next, speaking of hype, hyped up, a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. We've got...
Or none, depending on how you look at it.
Well, he's got all my responsibility on his shoulders. Christian Pulisic.
The real Captain America.
Bleeding red, white, and blue, bro. Let's go, baby. I hate Chelsea, but I love Christian Pulisic. He's got 9 goals, 4 assists, 2.5 shots per game, 1.2 key passes, and 2.2 dribbles. That's going to give him a score of 0.65. But last year he had 4 goals and 4 assists for Dortmund, and then the year before he had 4 goals and 5 assists for Dortmund.
Okay, well, that right there was the first time I've ever seen his stats, and I have no clue why they paid 50-some-odd million for him to get a 4-and-4 winger out of Germany. But
because the American the American market is exactly why they spent that much money.
That's obvious. But now, looking back on his most recent performances, it's looking like
he's balling.
Yeah, it might not have been a bad deal.
Okay, I did not watch much of Christian Pulisic before the restart, but after the restart, he was slanging and banging, dude.
He looks dangerous. I watched the most recent FA Cup match, Chelsea against Arsenal, obviously, and Pulisic with the ball at his feet is dangerous, and that is a big thing nowadays in soccer with football, excuse me,
footy, bro.
But a big thing these days with more well drilled defenses, sitting back, more organized, things like that. And having to pass around them. When you've got someone who can just run at you with the ball at their feet and manipulate the ball at an expert level, it just and you send someone backwards, things happen. It's like a chaos factor.
It's pretty rapid too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But to me, it really just especially that last FA Cup game when I watched him. It was just crazy to me the amount of control he had on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It was really really impressive. And just his willingness to run at players.
Mm-hmm.
He looked confident, and he took his goal with confidence. And honestly, when he pulled up with a hamstring injury, I hate to sound like a bad guy, but I was excited as an Arsenal fan. I hate to see it as an American, but it's something he'll come back from. Didn't look to be a huge issue.
He's out 4 to 5 weeks, so it's not that long.
Yeah, but
the heart to keep running after he pulled his hamstring and shoot the ball with the pulled hamstring leg.
Yeah, you watched him. He pulled it about 3 strides before he pulled the shot and just kept going. Yeah, that's a mental fortitude, mental and testicular fortitude.
He's got it, man.
Yeah.
Next up, we got my boy.
London on the track.
He's a Manc, dude. He's from Manchester. Marcus Rashford, y'all. I got the rash for Rashford. He's a beast. He's got 17 goals, 7 assists, 3.1 shots per game, 1.1 key passes per game, 2 dribbles per game. He had 10 goals and 6 assists last season, and 7 goals and 6 assists the season before.
Wait, what were his stats from the last 2 seasons?
10 and 6 and 7 and 5.
Okay, so this is like by far his best season.
Oh yeah, this is his introduction
to
the world.
Yeah,
season, not really, but
Sorry, there's a dog down here trying to get him.
You're kind of about to knock.
I'm trying to get him to leave the frame. He's not in the frame, but leave the bottom of under the frame.
He's about to knock the microphone over.
Good player.
Very good player. As much as I do want to put him in the S tier, I'm not. I'm going to refrain from myself. I'm going to stay partial or impartial. I think he's a solid A though. He's got 1 less goal than Mane.
Yeah.
Didn't play as many games as Mane.
He's got to do it again though.
No, for sure. If he does it again, then I'm going to be screaming more Marcus Rashford world class.
Yeah, I know you will be. It's going to be really annoying.
And just get ready for it.
Yeah, I'm confident that he will do it again. Like maybe not 17 and 7, but he's a good player. He's going to put up numbers, I would think, from now on. And especially as y'all add to that team, someone like Bruno Fernandes helping him score those goals, you got more creativity. If y'all sign Jadon Sancho on the other side, I think Sancho whipped across to Rashford the back post is going to be a thing. Especially if is he good in the air? He's a big lad.
I think he closes his eyes on headers most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. He looks like you out there heading the ball.
Right. He should get better at it though. I'm sure he's working on it. He's too busy feeding the children to be working on his headers right now.
Yeah, he's a good guy. It's hard to talk shit about Marcus Rashford.
No, he's great. Dr. Marcus Rashford, to you, sir.
Oh, is he honorary doctor?
He is, mate.
He's like Hector.
Yeah, sure. It's Hector Doctor.
Probably. He sat down at he did like a spiel at Oxford.
Ooh. So Rashford A. What do you think? A.
Yeah, with it, you can't really argue with
24
goal involvements in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You can't. He's another one of these guys. He needs to do it again. Yeah. But he's definitely a solid a player anyone would want on their team.
Yeah. Next up, we got St. Maximin, the Gucci Gang.
Gucci Gang.
3 goals, 4 assists, 1.8 shots per game, 1.3 key passes per game, 4.7 dribbles per game.
Electric on the dribble.
He had 6 goals and 3 assists last year for Nice. How do you say it? Nice.
It's kind of like the Knights who say Nice, but they say Nice.
And then 3 goals and 7 assists the season before.
Yeah, he's electric on the dribble. Kind of a unit too. Not like tall, but like he's got some broad shoulders.
He's a thick boy, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody.
You turned the ringer off.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah, I
cut
haven't
off
seen
first.
much of him, to be honest. Pretty much just seen him in the Arsenal games, and from what I've seen, he's like I said, I've said it twice. I'll say it a third time. Electric on the dribble. Don't really know how much else he brings. I can't say too much to it. I don't know if you can add to it, but
Not really.
he is on a mid-table Newcastle team, so he's. I'm from what I've heard, I think Newcastle fans think he's probably their best player, and doesn't have much help around him. So hopefully Newcastle will add some talent. I know the thing just fell through, the buyout. But,
Yeah, they did.
It's kind
Poor
of
guys.
sad. Kind of sad for them because
Must be.
once upon a time a great club. I'd like to see them
Mm-hmm.
do better again. But anyway,
Well, maybe they're in the right direction with St. Maximin.
yeah,
You never know.
But the goals and the assists aren't there. The key passes aren't there. But
Last year's stats aren't there. The year before that, stats aren't there.
and he's still young too. So I mean, he's got a
But his Twitter is there.
oh
But
yeah,
hilarious on Twitter.
always responding to the fans. Love to see that.
Absolutely. But I'm gonna have to put him at SC.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Down there with the likes of Buendia.
Next up, we got Mohamed Salah. 19 goals, 10 assists, 3.9 shots per game, 1.8 key passes, 1.5 dribbles. He's had 22 goals and 8 assists last year and 32 goals and 10 assists the year before.
32 and 10 is
In the league.
absolutely insane.
Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that is insane. Henry numbers. Like, this is 24 and 20 season,
Yep.
I mean, just farcical.
Not only am I going to put him in the S tier, he's the best winger in the league.
I think, yeah, I mean, you can go back and forth on the likes of him and Mane.
Going off numbers this year and prior numbers.
Yeah, I think when it comes to scoring goals and making assists and things like that, I think you have to say he's better than Mane. But when it comes to the eye test, it's really hard to tell. They're both
Both very
sick.
good. And would Salah be as good if he wasn't in a Jurgen Klopp team?
Yeah, that's a big topic of debate, but almost a moot point. I feel like because he's in a Jurgen Klopp team
And
he's
killing
doing it. But yeah, I mean, what a shock that he came over from Roma. I mean, he was a good player at Roma, but he was not the Pharaoh Salah that he is right now, tied as second best Egyptian player with Mohamed El Neni.
There you go.
I mean, just
I mean, it's tough to decide which one
is better, but
I can see
yeah.
why some people would go with Salah.
Yeah, definitely. I understand if that's your opinion.
Next up, we got our boy Son.
I hate that dude. Oh, he's awful.
But he's a beast.
Yeah, he's a good.
2-footed. He's 11 goals, 10 assists, 2.7 shots per game, 1.4 key passes per game, 2.1 dribbles per game. And then the season before he had 12 goals and 6 assists, and then 12 goals and 6 assists the season before that. So he's consistent.
Yeah, and I mean, can one of these other guys we're talking about can play in multiple positions? Can play as a winger, can play as a striker.
Absolutely rapid.
Yeah, he's fast. He can hit it with both feet. He can, get a straight red card challenge and then cry about it, and then they'll, run it back and let him keep playing games.
And he's like a sharpshooter or something.
Yeah, I think he was finished
Won
top,
some kind of medal or something.
But
Shows how good research we do.
yeah, he's did something with the South Korean army.
I'm going to stick him an A.
Yeah, I really just wanted to do my best to talk about him as little as possible, but
Yeah.
I can agree with an A as much
Just
as I hate him.
straight through, straight consistency. You know what you're going to get. He's proven, and he's very good.
Don't like him. He's a Tottenham player, and I would take him at Arsenal, so that
There you go.
says something,
And then next up we got Raheem Sterling, the bad boy with the AK-47 on his calf.
Raheem the Dream, dude. Got it.
20 goals, 1 assist this season, 3 shots per game, 1.5 key passes per game, 1.7 dribbles per game. Last year he had 17 goals and 10 assists, and the year before he had 18 goals and 11 assists. I'm going to say if Raheem Sterling could put away half his chances, he would have scored 40 goals.
I see that argument all the time, but a big thing about scoring goals is you got to be in the right place at the right time.
And he is, but also Pep's system is made to create as many goals as possible, which obviously every system is, but his is the best at it.
I mean,
creating chances.
I mean, I guess so. You could say that, but you could also look at Jurgen Klopp's as well. Do different methodologies of doing that, but yeah, I think Sterling is a
baller.
Yeah, very much a baller. A sick player. 20-1, his assists went way down. Not really sure what the reasoning behind that is, but when you're scoring 20 as a wide player, and I know he's good at finding space, and a big point of him is to almost play like another striker and score goals. But great player, and I don't think anyone would argue that any team in the world would want him.
And that's why I got to put him into S tier. Any team in the world would want Sterling. He could
play
for anybody.
And when you're doing it this consistently, because at this point, I mean, last 2 seasons he had 29 and 27 goal involvements. This season with only 21 due to he scored more goals but registered less assists.
Aguero was out like a ton of the season.
Yeah. Aguero's been hurt, so that's a big pass combination of Sterling to Aguero for the goal.
Yeah.
So that could be some reasoning behind that. And anyway, he's shown it consistently. Everyone's known he was going to be a great player since he was at Liverpool. And it's I think he'll continue to be a great player. I'm giving him the S tier as well.
Let's do it. We got Big Bad Traore.
Yeah, Traore, big boy.
4 goals, 9 assists, 1.2 shots per game, 1.3 key passes per game, 5 dribbles per game.
That's insane. I thought St. Maxim's 4 point something was a ton of dribbles. 5 is just nuts.
And but last year he had 1 goal and 1 assist. In the year before for Middlesbrough, he had 5 goals and 10 assists.
One thing I do have to say about Traore's dribbles past.
He's just kicking it past them and running.
And running really fast. Yeah, I mean, and he's good at it. He's an absolute unit. He's a physical specimen. But I feel like that is... I mean, I guess it accomplishes the same thing. So who am I to say anything about it? But I feel like that's a little bit different from...
So, how do you feel, bro? Tell me how you feel.
Well, I think in the transition, it's the same exact thing. But against a team sitting in a low block, I think it's different. Because sometimes you have to get outside and you have to, stall the ball, take 1 step, 2 step, go past a guy. And I would back someone like a Mahrez, even a Pepe, to do that better than Traore. But that being said, when you're playing in transition, and all you need to do is get past him and hit those big patches of open space. There's no one better to do that than him.
And I've seen him just blow past people like they weren't even there.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is he frequently does come off the bench. So just someone that is already that freaky and then plus throwing them up against tired legs, it is going to give him an advantage. But... up until this season, he was all dribbles and nothing else, and he's starting to put a little bit more of it together and adding a little bit to his game. So
Traore, I would put him. I mean, he does have a lot of dribbles, but his numbers are still low. I mean, where would you want to put him in C?
I could see an argument for C or B, like low B, high C. But keep in mind, there's a lot of players on this list that next season is what's going to tell you.
But remember, we've got Pepe and Pulisic in B.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's close.
Does he fit in there with those names?
I think so. I think he's close to as good as they are. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, personally, thing about Pepe is, and like I said, players like this that, it's Pepe's first season in the league. Is this Pulisic's first season in the league? I think so, right? So. And then you take... I know Adama Traore has been here before, but he hasn't really been a mainstay in a team. He was at Middlesbrough with nobody.
Yeah.
When I think next season is really going to separate them, and that'll show you, a little bit of deviation of who's really that guy and who was kind of just that was their level. You know, because I think every fan of all of those teams, I think every Chelsea fan will tell you Pulisic's going to be better next year. Every Arsenal fan will tell you Pepe's going to be better next year, and I think every Wolves fan will tell you that Adama's going to be better next year. So it's all just put up or shut up next season.
Hell yeah. Next we got Willian,
soon to be Arsenal lad.
Chelsea legend Willian.
Did he really go 9-7 last season?
This season, yeah.
So this has been by far his best season.
The year before was 3 goals, 6 assists. The year before that was 6 and 7. He's got 2 shots per game, 2.1 key passes per game, and 1.8 dribbles per game. But I mean, if you look at this, if all these stats I got, 2.1 key passes per game is
it's a lot.
Pretty high.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't watch Chelsea all the time. Like I said earlier, I don't watch Willian all the time, obviously. But since the restart, I was watching Willian. He might have been playing for a contract, but he was balling for a contract.
Yeah.
He was playing pretty hard. He gave us a hard time in the FA Cup match we played.
Yeah, I mean...
He's out wide, he'll bust his ass, he'll run, and he'll create chances, obviously. Like the stats show, he creates chances. Where do you think he'll lie in this whole tier list?
Willian, to me, is...
B?
Yeah, I think he's a high B.
He's an established player, but he's not putting up top of the league numbers.
If he had numbers like this season consistently or better seasons than this, considering he's about to turn 32, I would give him an A tier. But like just knowing that, I mean, he's generally looks like the last season he's good for like 10 to 12 goal contributions. That's to me not enough to put you up in A.
I feel you.
I think you're a B tier player.
All right, and last but not least, we're down to Wilfried Zaha. He's got 4 goals and 3 assists, 1.6 shots per game, 0.9 key passes per game, but 4.3 dribbles. And last season he had 10 goals and 5 assists, and the season before that he had 9 goals and 3 assists.
Cool.
So, Zaha, I mean, he's got ass numbers, really.
Yeah, the thing about Zaha, though, is they kept him from moving last season when he was ready to move. He's done with Crystal Palace, and I know that's not the most professional mindset. Like the true professional, goes out and gives his all for Crystal Palace. And I mean, I'm not saying it, but I guess I am saying that that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him, obviously, but it just seems like his he doesn't want to be there. It's hard to play for a club when you don't want to be there anymore, and they're almost holding him for ransom. I mean they'll sell him this year, I think, but there were some big clubs coming in for him, Arsenal being one of them. And I think he's too good to still be at Crystal Palace, and like you said, numbers aren't there this season, but I think he's better than those numbers show.
I think he is too. And also with Zaha being at Crystal Palace, I feel like he gets a lot of the burden on himself.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of single-handedly carried that team.
Well, yeah, season. Benteke I don't think scored hardly at all this season.
Is Benteke even still there? When we played, I mean, I don't even know. Like, last time
I think he is. I think he's been terrible.
Has he? I mean, because he hasn't been playing. Because, like, when we played Crystal Palace, he wasn't playing. But yeah, and I feel like Zaha is better than this season's stats show, and like some of these other players we talked about, like Buendia, players like that. Hopefully, he'll get his move and can show that off.
Yeah,
there's something to be said for a player that can dribble like he can. You can make things happen, but like you said, at the end of the day, people are going to get judged on putting the ball in the net and creating chances.
And for Zaha, I feel like he is better than a C on the tier list. But with these, I mean, he's got the worst numbers on this list altogether.
Outside of dribbles, he's not really doing anything that impressive. And I mean, also in a worse team than most of these players, you have to point out.
That's true. But, I mean, St. Maximin has 3 goals and 4 assists. Zaha has reverse numbers. So, I mean, you'd think he'd be better.
St. Maximin's a lot younger as well.
Yeah, that's true. But do you think he'd have a lot better numbers than that?
Yeah, definitely. You would. And like I said, it's hard to judge all these players off one season. We've tried to go back. Zaha's, I mean, last season 10-5, that's a good season, but he's never just lit it up.
Yes,
you
correct.
know. But he's also never been on a team to light it up.
Yeah.
You know, like because when you're playing them and you've got to mark Zaha, you can double up on Zaha.
Yeah.
You can't double up on Marcus Rashford. You can't double up on Mane. You can't double up on all these people. Like where the threat's coming from, so it's a little bit easier to isolate it and handle it.
Yeah, and I mean he was on Man United a long time ago, when Moyes was there. So gosh, that was 3 coaches ago.
Yeah, and flopped, right?
Yeah, and then got sent back. So I mean, it is what it is. Zaha, I got you at C, bro. What about you?
I think it's probably appropriate, but once again, I just want to reiterate that being in the C list here is not an actual C list. It doesn't make you a bad player. This is the bottom of the best in the league.
I wrote down as many wingers as I could think of, and that's what we decided to rate. So,
and if you're sitting here going, well, you missed this guy, you missed that guy, we tried to separate some players out. Like Aubameyang's been playing winger all season, but he doesn't really play like a winger, so we're counting him as a striker when we do these videos. So certain things like that, if we missed your guy, don't
drop it in the comments, and we'll try to get him next year.
Yeah, for sure. Or we'll try to fit him into one of these other videos, or maybe make a correction at the end of one of these videos for you.
But I think that takes care of everybody. So, we hope y'all enjoyed this video. I put a lot of work into it. Luke put a lot of work into it. So, let us know what you think. Drop it down in the bottom, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Appreciate it, y'all.
Later.